Hello, Megan. We certainly can have a look at this. I hope you can see everything that's going on here. Here we're asked to find the exact value of all of this, of course. Don't use a calculator, write it as a single fraction. So let's go through and just evaluate all this stuff. First things first, we're asked to evaluate the sine of pi over 2. So we look up our unit circle. Pi over 2 is 90 degrees, and the sine is the y-coordinate. So this simplifies to 1. Now that's going to be multiplied by the tangent of negative 21 pi over 4. Now if you look at your unit circle, there is no negative 21 pi over 4. First it's a negative, which means we start in the clockwise direction, but it's also a coterminal angle. And what I mean by this, it's some kind of rotation of more than 2 pi, or 360 degrees. So if I were to think about this a little bit, this one here, 2 pi is going to be equivalent to 8 pi over 4. Right? Now I'm thinking that way because we have a denominator of 4, so 2 pi would be 8 pi over 4 because 8 divided by 4 is 2. So let's take this 21 pi over 4 and let's add 8 pi to it. We can add 8 pi again because if we add 8, we're still going to get a huge number that's not going to be on our unit circle, right? So down here we have negative 21 pi over 4. Let's add 16 pi over 4. And I'm just doing that because remember it's like 8 pi over 4 plus 8 pi over 4. Right? That's where I'm coming up with this 16 pi over 4. When we do that, we're going to get negative 5 pi over 4. And we can still figure that out on our unit circle. So we're going to start on the positive x-axis, and now we're going to go counterclockwise. Now remember, this is pi over 4 right here. Right? So for every 90-degree angle, or every pi over 2, we can divide that up into 2 pi over 4s, 2 quarters, if you will. So we can just kind of count that out heading in the clockwise direction. So here's 1 pi over 4, negative 1 pi over 4, negative 2 pi over 4, negative 3 pi over 4, negative 4 pi over 4, which is negative pi, right? That makes sense. And then negative 5 pi over 4 just puts us right here. So now when we're right here, remember the tangent, and this might be a bit hard to see. Zoom that in a little bit. The tangent, recall, is the y over the x. Anything divided by itself is 1, and we're going to have a negative 1 here because the x coordinate is going to be 1, right? So let me make some room with I'll get rid of my thought bubbles. Hope you can follow that mess, by the way. But basically what we're looking at is the tan of this mess right here of negative 21 pi is going to simplify down to negative 1. Right? Now we're going to subtract that from the cosine of 10 pi over 3, and again we can use the same idea, right? 2 pi in this context would be equivalent or equal to 6 pi over 3. So what we'll do is we'll just take this little fraction, I'll do it down here, we have negative 10 pi over 3, and I'm going to add 6 pi over 3. That's going to give us negative 4 pi over 3. Right? Negative 4 pi over 3. So again now we can think that, starting here, if we look up here, pi over 3 is really equivalent to like 60 degrees, right? We can think about that. Again, we're heading in the negative direction here though, so let's just go through that process. 60 degrees would be pretty much right to here. And if we want to think about this 180 being divided up, we're going to get 3 60s, right? Here's one 60-degree angle, here's our second 60-degree angle, and then our third 60-degree angle. So we can just think like that. So let's go ahead, we'll go in the counterclockwise direction. So here's negative 1 pi over 3, negative 2 pi over 3, negative 3 pi over 3, which again is pi, right? And then negative 4 pi over 3 puts us right up here to 2 pi over 3. It's the same angle, same rotation. We're asked to find the cosine, which is negative 1/2, so we can just replace that now. So it's all about the unit circle. There's some coterminal angles happening here, but hopefully you can kind of rationalize your way through them. So this is minus 1/2, right? We're minusing the cosine of minus 1/2. So watch your double negatives. Now we can just simplify this expression. Remember, we have to multiply first. So this is going to simplify to negative 1 minus or plus 1/2, right? Because of the double negative. I might as well just change that now. And we can also now do our equivalent fractions. This is going to be equivalent to negative 2 over 2 plus 1 over 2, which is going to give us negative 1/2. And that's going to be your answer. Simple fraction, single fraction, exact value. So there you go, buddy. Hope that helps. If it doesn't, let me know.